Welcome back to Self-Love Ignited. On today's episode, I am chatting with Kate Whorlow. Kate has been a natural healing practitioner and spiritual well-being coach since 1998, specializing in herbal medicine, aromatherapy, and intuitive healing. Above all else, Kate loves to help women find a way to put themselves first. She has so many beautiful offers, as well as a gorgeous organic tea company. Kate joins me to talk about her journey into motherhood and her transitioning body image. When she was younger, she was very thin, but very unhappy. As she grew older, she developed a chronic condition, gained a lot of weight, and then was also sort of unhappy. And through motherhood, she got stretch marks and has learned to embrace what she calls her tiger stripes and has really stepped into beautiful self-love and self-acceptance. She does this for herself and for her teenage children. Join me as I chat with Kate about our bodies, ourselves, self-love, food, a whole lot about tea, motherhood, and so much more. My name is Katie Allen, and this is Self-Love Ignited. Let's get to it. Welcome back to Self-Love Ignited. Today on the podcast, I am interviewing Kate Whorlow, all the way from the UK, which is super fun for me. So Kate, welcome to the podcast. Why don't you take a moment and introduce yourself to everybody?
Thanks, Katie. Thanks for having me. Hi, well, my name's Kate. I live in England. I'm in the far southwest corner of England, a lovely county called Cornwall. 3/4 of our border is basically coastline, so I'm really lucky. I'm like very close to the beach, which I absolutely love. I grew up down here as well. I'm a herbalist and natural healing practitioner, as well as a spiritual well-being coach, and I specialize in herbal medicine and aromatherapy, and also kind of energy healing. And at the moment I have my business is I create organic loose leaf herbal tea blends, which were designed mainly because I was having a bad parenting moment in summer holidays a few years ago, where I thought I was going to tear my hair out, and I needed something just to kind of just take the edge off and calm me down. So I created a tea blend. I just literally went to my herbal shelves and just took a pinch of the things different herbs that I knew would help, put them in a cup. I made a cup of tea out of it, and the first sip, I just felt, my whole body just relaxed, and I just calmed down. I just think, oh my God, this is like bliss in the cup. And then I was telling my friends about it. I said, you should sell these teas, like they're amazing. So I sent them all samples and stuff. So 2 years ago, I set up my herbal tea company called Time for Me Teas, and I've got a subscription box coming out hopefully next month. And my goal really is to help mothers in particular, but they are suitable for everyone, to really take a moment for themselves, because we often don't put ourselves first. We are the giver. We look after our kids and our husbands and partners first, and then we forget the self-care for ourselves. So it was really, I call it Time for Me Teas, to really give yourself even just 5 to 10 minutes a day to just sit down with a cup of really soothing herbal tea that's also really great for you as well, and just put the to-do list away. Don't think about the washing up in the sink or what you're going to have for dinner that night, and just take time to just my tagline is breathe, be present, recharge. So it's giving yourself a moment to take a deep breath, really get present in your body, and just feel your center of your body, and just feel yourself ground, and just feel yourself really connected to your body, to be really present in the moment. And then by doing that and breathing deeply, you're kind of resetting your brain and your nervous system to just calm down. And by doing that, the oxygen gets in the right place, and you're able to focus better. And then okay, from here I can now move forwards. I'm feeling calmer, I'm feeling more focused, I'm feeling more me. And that 5 minutes is all I needed. And if you can do it longer, fantastic. If you've only got 5 minutes, then that's enough just to it's kind of like rewire your nervous system just for a moment.
Absolutely. And that's such a beautiful act of self-care, but also, as far as I'm concerned, that's an act of self-love in itself, right? Like actually saying,
Yeah.
I deserve this time, and prioritizing
Yes.
your own well-being. Like that is, it's like self-love in a cup. Do you have a self-love blend? Because I feel like if you don't, you need to make one.
Well, I kind of do.
Okay.
I've got a blend. I'm hoping to launch it next month. I've
Okay.
got a few coming out next month, actually. And actually, this is one of the ones that's probably going to be in the description box. And it's actually got two names because it's kind of depending on which time of year I brought it out. I did try it out last year, and it's one that it's called Bestie, as in like best tea, and then but it's also known as Tea Amo, like Te Amo,
Yeah.
saying I love you.
Yeah.
It's called Tea Amo. So that is my kind of, like, I call it love in a cup.
That's cute.
Because it's
Like
got rose in it, and rose petals are amazing for self-love. And also there's another blend which my daughter created, actually, which is called Amber's Rose Tea, and that's got rose petals and lemon balm in it. And that's a really brilliant one because the rose petals, again, is all about self-love, self-acceptance, seeing things in the world from a place of love, so no judgment of yourself or others. But then the lemon balm is really uplifting. It just helps to uplift your mood and makes you feel, it kind of brings more joy to you. You just feel happier when you take it. It just helps. It really helps the nervous system. So it helps to calm you down, but also uplifts your mood as well.
Yeah.
And so my daughter created that because she's autistic, and she's also identifies as being lesbian and pansexual, but she's only 11. So that tea, actually, we donate 50p for each tin of that tea to the there's a charity in the UK called Stonewall Project, and they go into schools and they help to combat bullying in schools for LGBTQ plus kids and young adults, and helps teach the teachers how to behave, and then shows the other kids like how everyone is free to be themselves. So when my daughter created this tea blend, and she literally, can I create my own? I went, yeah, go for it. And said, I want rose. Well, perfect. And then, I want lemon balm as well. Would that work together? I said, yes, that'd be perfect together. And so, yeah, so I actually sell that in my shop now as well. But that is a beautiful one for self-love as well, because it just helps you to feel better in yourself, and it helps you to recognize that love for yourself. When so many people find it so difficult to love themselves, and then they also go, oh, you love yourself first, and they go, well, how do I do that? I don't know how to do that. So this just helps on the emotional side. The rose really helps to just kind of uplift your spirits, but it really helps to kind of heal your heart at the same time. It's a really good heart tonic. So yeah, so I've got those two blends that I tend to promote for self-love, but they're also ones obviously you give to other people for show them how much you love them as well. But yeah, they're the best ones.
That's gorgeous. So Kate, I feel like I love the work that you do. I cannot wait to try your teas. I've already sent some to a friend, but I haven't tried them myself just yet. And you have a lot of passion behind what you do. It came from a place of love and loving yourself. And I feel like you could probably talk about tea to anybody for a very long period of time. I just sort of get that feeling because you're so passionate about it. But today we want to hear about you, right? So we want your story. This podcast, Self-Love Ignited, is all about telling the stories of women just like you who have maybe come from a place of not liking themselves, not loving themselves, to, going on a journey and really coming to this place of self-acceptance and self-love. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how this journey showed up in your life? Where did your challenges with yourself begin?
Okay, sure. Well, as a child and young and teenager, I was very, very skinny. I mean, I found it pretty much impossible to put weight on, even though I ate like a horse. I mean, I was always eating, but I just couldn't seem to put weight on. And it seemed to be a bit of a family trend because my mum and my grandmother said that they had the same thing happen to them. But then they kept telling me that at the age of 21, they started putting weight on. So I didn't want to necessarily believe that because, I mean, mind you, at that age, I didn't really know much about how thoughts create actions kind of thing. But as a teenager, I mean, when I left school and I went back for a reunion, my school friend said, "Oh my God, Kate, we thought you were anorexic at school because you were so thin. You were just so skinny." And then my friend said, "Yeah, you're either anorexic or bulimic." And I'm thinking, well, I was neither, actually, because I used to eat a lot. And I actually had a phobia of being sick. So I knew I wouldn't be able to be bulimic anyway. So, but I think, well, I don't understand, because I just never, nobody told me that they thought I was too skinny. But then I had my first kind of proper boyfriend about the age of 19. And he sometimes used to complain that when we were hugging, that my hips would dig into him because I was so bony. And that really upset me, because there's nothing I could do about my hips. Because I was actually trying to put the weight on. I was like, nothing I could do about that. Although my friends at work kept trying to fatten me up by buying me ice creams and stuff at break time, thinking, you got to eat more ice creams. Thinking, I would eat plenty of rubbish food anyways, probably. That's not helping. It's not helping at all. Yeah. But I felt very much that I was a very shy child. I was brought up in a very sort of Christian household, where it was very much like no sex before marriage, don't dress too provocatively, don't want to attract the wrong attention. So I kind of grew up feeling that I wasn't really allowed to be feminine. I wasn't really allowed to be sexy or really show off my curves. So being skinny as well didn't help that, because I had trouble with trying to find clothes that fit me, because I had to put elastic in all of my trousers to just get them to stay around my waist. And I just felt I was very, very shy, and I found it very difficult in particular to talk to men, because I didn't want to give them the wrong impression, kind of thing, because of the way I'd been brought up. So, but anyway, so my boyfriend at that time, the one that complained my hips dug into him, he broke up with me because I wouldn't sleep with him. And as many different boyfriends did at that time, because that's how I felt that was how I was supposed to live. And then I met another boyfriend, and I was with him for 4 years. And I did start putting weight on. And when I got to 21, I did start putting weight on. And finally, I was at my ideal weight. And I'm thinking, oh, wow, this is brilliant. I actually feel great. But around I was about age 19, I did get a chronic illness, which I still have. And I think, and that's what it was putting the weight on for me, because I wasn't able to exercise as much as I had before because of this chronic illness. I have ME, which is a combination of chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia. And so I find it difficult to exercise. I get tired very, very quickly, which is one of the reasons why I started doing all the training in the healing modalities, because it really helped me. Mm-hmm. And actually by training in those modalities, I actually stopped myself from being wheelchair bound and bed bound, which is amazing, because so many people with ME just end up just going back to bed for 7 or 8 years and not ever leaving their bedroom. And thankfully, I thought, I'm not going to be that statistic. I pronounce it. Can't you get that word out?
Statistic. There you go. I got it for you.
I know it's a horrible word. I can never get the word out. It's like I used to stutter on the first bit. Yeah, and so I'm thinking, no, I've got all the tools here. I can heal myself, and to a certain extent, I have healed myself. It's still in the background. I still get flare-ups, but not as many as I used to. And then when I do get one, I know what to do to help. I need to rest more. I need to take the right herbs and homeopathic remedies and essential oils and that kind of thing. I don't take essential oils internally. Don't take them internally. But yeah, I kind of knew all the tools to help me. Mm-hmm. So at age 21, as my mother and my grandmother predicted, I started putting weight on. But then it didn't stop. And it kept going on. And I'm thinking, well, hang on a minute. That wasn't supposed to happen. Like, why is it not stopping now? Why is that suddenly gone from being really skinny to suddenly my doctor's saying, oh, you're obese? And I'm thinking, what? I don't feel obese. I still feel thin inside. And even now, I still look down on myself and I think I'm perfect weight. I look at myself in the mirror going, nah, maybe not. But who cares? But it's taken me a long time to get to that point of the who cares bit, because for a long time, when I was putting the weight on, I just felt frumpy, and I felt like I was aged beyond my years. And I really knocked my self-confidence, because from going from a teenager to not that we always like it, but being wolf whistled on the street when you go past builder site or something, to then going past builder site and nobody batting an eyelid. And then I know that's a bit vain, but it's kind of like, it's a bit strange when you're growing up and thinking like, oh, now obviously I'm not attractive, and people just see my weight and they don't see me. So it felt very difficult trying to get used to that and navigate that. So but anyway, so that, when I was 21, that relationship broke up for various reasons, and I moved away and moved to my own flat for the first time, after the first time living on my own properly, which I absolutely loved. And then I met my husband online, and meeting someone online was actually so much easier because you could just get to know the person without caring what weight they were, what they looked like. And it was so we met, so we started chatting like January 2000, and we met in the April, and he came stay with me in my flat, and from that moment I knew that I was in love. But then meant it a bit longer to work that bit out. But he kind of knew it. So he said later, he said, oh yeah, I kind of knew it anyway. But he was the first person, the first man who ever looked at me and didn't care what size I was, didn't care if I was too skinny, didn't care if I was overweight, didn't care if I had a really big tummy or a big bottom or big thighs, or I just didn't care. He loved me for who I was, and that was amazing for me, because and even when I put weight on, I was going to say, oh, I'm so fed up, I can't get into my favourite jeans anymore, I can't get into my favourite top. He said, well, don't worry, just go and buy a new one, just go and get some new clothes for you, it's fine. And he's saying, I love you the way you are, I don't want you to change. So so whatever makes you happy is fine. And I don't really notice when you put weight on, it just doesn't bother me. And so that was real confidence booster for me. But the thing that really helped to change my thinking about myself and about my body changing was when I first got pregnant. And my first pregnancy that actually went full term, because I've had several miscarriages as well. So my first daughter, she'll be 14 in December. I can't believe that she's 14 in December. That's so scary. It's like, oh my God, it's 40 years. So when I was pregnant with her, I did put more weight on. And I had a lot of trouble with the midwife and the doctors, but they're thinking, well, I know you want a home birth, but really we'd rather you in hospital. I'm thinking, no, I really, really want a home birth. And I almost got a home birth, and then she got stuck, so I had to go in hospital anyway, unfortunately. But when I was pregnant with her, it's the first time I felt feminine. It's the first time I felt like a real woman. And it's daft, but it took that long to actually feel that. But I actually felt like a goddess. I felt like, oh my God, I've got this baby growing inside me. And I'm like, I am this vessel, this home for this beautiful baby that's going to be born in a few months. And I could feel her kicking, and I could feel her interacting with me. And it was just the most amazing. I went around, just, you know how women who are pregnant have that glow, and they think, oh yeah, it's the hormones in the glow. No, it's the glow is because you finally feel like your body is useful in some ways. It's like, I'm here, the reason why I'm here, the reason why I am this happy is because finally my body is being used as it's meant to be, which is to give birth. And I'm not saying that everyone who chooses not to have babies doesn't feel like that, because they do, and they should do, and they should find a way of feeling that way, even if they choose not to have children. But at that moment, that was my kind of time. I really thought, oh my God, I actually feel like I am present in myself, and I'm actually joyous about my body. And then when I gave birth, I had lots of stretch marks, and all the usual like post-pregnancy stuff, as I think, oh, I use these oils to get rid of stretch marks, and this will turn up the skin after birth and all this stuff. And I read this article, and I don't remember why I read this article, but it popped up, I think, on Facebook at some point. And there's about a lady who wrote it, and she said, don't think of your stretch marks as being a failure for your body. Think of them as tiger stripes. They're your tiger stripes. They're your badge of honor for housing and homing and creating a wonderful, nurturing environment for that baby that you brought into the world. And when she said that, I think, oh my God, that is so true. So now I don't try and get rid of my tiger stripes. They are part of me. They're part of my my journey to becoming a mother. And I had another baby a couple of years after. So I've got 2 girls now. One's almost 12, the other one's almost 14. And I don't think of my stretch marks as being ugly. I look at them and thinking, no, they served a purpose. They stretched my belly to accommodate my beautiful daughters. And they are there to remind me that I am a goddess. I am a woman. I am allowed to be feminine. I'm allowed to feel sexy in my body, regardless of how my husband feels. I mean, thankfully, he's always been great about that anyway. But to me personally, it's almost like a reminder to myself to like, no, okay, this may be the body I've got now, but that's great because this is who I'm meant to be. I am now a mother. I'm not the maiden anymore. I'm in the mother stage of my life. So this is a great reminder to just accept my body and love my body, because what an amazing thing I created by creating these girls. And so that really, really helped me to accept myself. And I mean, I'd love to have another baby in the future. And I'm really hoping I do. But it's just, I probably feel happier about my body now than I've ever been, because I've understand that I'm not a skinny person anymore, which was when I was skinny, I wasn't happy. I wasn't allowed to be myself. I wasn't allowed to be feminine. I wasn't allowed to be attractive to boys, because I felt that I was going to cause trouble for myself because of the way I've been brought up. I wasn't allowed to actually be myself, and I was painfully shy as a teenager. And since having children and really kind of like accepting my body as it is, yes, I'm still overweight, but though when lockdown last year, and so many people said, oh, we've eaten so much, we keep putting weight. I'd actually lost weight because I was doing more walking. I'd actually think, we're only allowed to go out once a day for exercise. I'm going to go as long as I can. So it's like a mile walk every day. There's one good thing about having a dog is that you've got to get them out every day.
Yeah.
So
yep.
I found places in my neighborhood I didn't know existed, going, wow, there's loads of herbs down here, bonus. So I was going out for herb walks every day, and I was literally like picking off like gorse flowers and eating them on the way around, or rose petals. They've all gone over now, but they've just got roses coming out now. But yeah, so I was going around going, oh my god, there's loads of wild garlic here, and I never knew that was there. So it got me out. It got me sparking my interest again with herbs, and I started doing more herb stuff during lockdown as well. But I actually lost weight during lockdown because I was actually getting out and walking more, and that made me feel better to myself, because even though I'm still overweight, and I probably always will be now, but that doesn't matter. I was finding my clothes are fitting me better, and so just by losing a little bit of weight, also boosted my confidence as well. But I've started putting it on a bit now because the weather's been so foul lately. But again, I'm thinking, well,
I want to just interrupt you, because I feel like before we get too far ahead, I really just want to like capture the essence of your story, because it's really powerful. And I feel like if we get too far into the future, we're gonna miss it, right? Because your story, and I know the first time that you and I spoke a few weeks back, it captivated me. And I think because I'm a woman who does not have children, I don't have any children yet, but I love kids and I would love to have them someday. I think that your story about sort of going from the maiden to the mother and seeing your body as this, vessel that creates life, that's something that I haven't gone through, but I think I know so many people have. And there's such a, what's the word? There's like this toxicity in culture, right? The get your body back after having a baby,
exactly.
like, and it, even just those words coming out of my mouth, like I feel like my whole body just cringed a little bit, like just
I know, yeah, exactly,
but like what you did in your journey in your own beautiful way is you went, I don't want this old body, because number one, I wasn't ever really happy, and number two, I'm not that person anymore. I'm like growing into this beautiful new stage of life, and you went for it. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And it kind of got forced, because it kind of gets forced on you, that part, because you suddenly realize, oh my god, I'm not a single woman anymore, I'm now married. B, I'm now pregnant, so I'm not like the childless woman anymore. I'm now a mother, and now I've got, oh my god, so many responsibilities with that. it really shocks you when you first bring the baby home from hospital, and it's like, oh my god, I've actually got to look after it on my own now. I haven't got anyone to help me. And then the husband took him and go, I don't know how to change a nappy. I think you'll have to learn soon. And I do find it funny how the midwife, when they went to change the first nappy, he said, come on, Dad, you go. He looked at me and went, what? And I'm thinking, hey, this is perfect, go for it. Because I've been changing nappies a lot as a child. I'm the eldest of 9 children. So I was changing nappies from about the age of 10. Right. So I was thinking, yeah, I always know, I've got it down. I know how to do it. You need to learn how to do this. There's no problem. I know how to do this. Right. And it was a lot difficult when I started because we were like with the pins and everything with the reusable nappies. It's so much easier these days.
Oh yeah, the Velcro. Like you just like
so much better. Oh yeah, now it's brilliant. Yeah, but when I first used to change my brothers and sisters' nappies, it was like the full with the square cloths folding into triangles and then like origami pretty much, trying to put it on the baby's bum, and then with the huge nappy pins, which like I'm so worried I was going to stab the baby with them. And it's like, oh, it's giving me nightmares. But then thankfully, when my second youngest brother was born, my mum started getting disposable nappies, which is brilliant. But then I actually went back and I actually did reusable nappies with my girls, because then I was really aware of the impact of the environment, the amount of plastic going to bins. It's scary. Right. But yeah, getting my husband to actually, we're looking at this baby going, oh, what do we do now?
You're like, I'm a mother, and guess what? You're a father. It comes with it's part of the package. Exactly. Go learn.
I know, exactly. So it's very much,
No, sorry, go ahead, finish your sentence.
So it was very much kind of like we were both starting a new period. So it was like me was becoming a mother, him becoming a father, and then but also trying to do that together as well. So it really kind of helped our relationship as well, as we were both trying to navigate late night feeds and this child that always seemed to be permanently hungry, and then me with still having the ME and with the tiredness of that, and actually trying to navigate that with new mum tiredness on top. And for the first few months I didn't know how I was going to cope. But it's like a new era as parents, from being like just a married couple to parents as well. So it was very much him having him on board with me, and me feeling basically like a milking machine most of the time. To be honest, because it's like going, it doesn't end. But him still loving me and still being there for me and still seeing me as a woman, because that's a bit I was worried also about, was becoming a mother, was that he would only then see me as a mother and not see me as a sexy wife anymore. And that's I think every woman who's had a baby feels that way, think, oh my god, everything just looks weird, I'm leaking all the time. I mean, I have a baby crying, it's not even my baby, and I start leaking and thinking, really? My baby sleep. That's not good. And in the middle of a shopping market going, I can't even collect it because I'm not at home. And it's just all these things. I was constantly, the only time I wear scarves actually is when I was breastfeeding, because it just hid your tops from leaking. It was the only time I ever wore scarves. And but so it's trying to kind of like, you get used to being a new mum, to sleepless nights, which I didn't really mind so much because I'm a bit of a night owl anyway, to all the bodily functions that are going on with after giving birth and trying to get used to everything. But then to still have your partner there, still seeing you as the woman he married or lives with rather, and not just seeing you as the mother. But then they also, from their point of view, because I was talking to my husband about this a few years ago, and he's saying, well, it was a bit weird for me because I didn't know if I should touch you, because I didn't know whether you're still in pain after giving birth, or I didn't know if I'd hurt you by making love to you, or didn't want to hug you too hard because obviously your breasts were
leaking.
Leaking. Yeah, exactly. And if I didn't want to kind of like, I didn't want to overstep the mark kind of thing. So he was like holding back to try and give me space. But then I was also trying to think, no, don't hold back, because that makes you feel like you're stepping back and you're not seeing me as a woman. And then so that was a bit of a navigation with us as well, was that, and also he was working away during the week and only home at weekends. So I felt very much like a single mum during the week, which is very weird. So we've got a newborn. But but yeah, so it's kind of looking at it from both sides, is remembering that the men sometimes don't quite know how to navigate that new stage in your life either. They don't know, can we still try, even though, like, obviously if the first 6 weeks probably best not, because everything's trying to heal. But after that, thinking, well, is it okay if I hug you, or is it okay if I touch you, or is it going to cause pain? Is it going to are you going to like be repulsed by going, no, I'm a mother now, therefore don't touch me? Because some women do have that reaction as well. They with my second daughter, I had postnatal depression, but it didn't kick in until a year after I gave birth to her, or almost a year after I gave birth to her, which is a bit of a shock for me, because when you're pregnant and you're going to antenatal classes, they're all saying, oh yeah, watch out for baby blues. It kind of starts around like sort of first, second week. And yeah, just kind of things to watch out. But nobody tells you actually that can start up to a year after you've given birth. Yeah. Nobody tells you that.
Yeah.
And I had quite a bad pregnancy, my second one, because when she was 6 weeks old, I ended up in hospital in intensive care because I had acute severe pancreatitis. And I was in hospital for 2 weeks in intensive care, and right at the point where I just got into a breastfeeding kind of, not schedule as such, but a routine, like a really strong. And with my first daughter, I had a lot of trouble breastfeeding her because she was born by C-section, by emergency C-section, because she got completely stuck. And C-section babies very often can't breastfeed because they haven't. But when the baby's pushed through the birth canal, it's like it kind of squeezes the liquid out of their lungs and it kind of activates the sucking reflex. But when babies are born by C-section, they don't have that kind of reflex activated because of the way they're born. So my first daughter found it very, very difficult to latch on, and breastfeeding was a nightmare. And I really felt I failed as a mother because I wasn't able to breastfeed my daughter, and that was horrible because I thought babies knew how to do this, and they don't. My second daughter, yeah, no problem, because she's born naturally and she had that reflex straight off the bat. But so yes, so that's another thing, is trying to navigate motherhood as well. My firstborn was that I felt that I wasn't being a proper mother because I couldn't feed my child. And that brought on a little bit of postnatal depression. And then my midwife was saying, no, you have not doing anything wrong. It's just the way it is. So she went to bottle fed very quickly. Then she did luckily get some of my milk in the first few days, thank God. So she got the important stuff, the colostrum right at the very beginning. But it took me really until I was breastfeeding my second daughter to really let go of the kind of the disappointment and the grief, really. It's the only thing I can describe it as grief, is not being able to feed your own child. To really let go of that when I had my second daughter, and thankfully she breastfed really easily, which is brilliant. And I absolutely love breastfeeding, and not everyone does. My mum hated it, but I really loved breastfeeding. But then unfortunately, as she was 6 weeks, and literally was the first night she slept through the night, I ended up in hospital. And then because I was on morphine and oxygen and all sorts of things in hospital, my milk dried up, and that really upset me. After finally getting a baby that knew what to do and having this lovely, amazing relationship with my baby, trying to breastfeed her, and then not being able to breastfeed her, that was again another learning curve, trying to get used to not being able to breastfeed my daughter after the struggles I had the first time, and then feeling very much like a failure again because I still couldn't feed my daughter. I was trying, to try and get my milk started again, but it just didn't work. So that was like another stage of motherhood where I had to then kind of navigate and try and work out, okay, this is not my fault, it's just circumstances that caused this. It's not, I didn't do anything, it's just unfortunately the illness caused it. And trying to settle back into myself again and feel comfortable in my skin, and actually connect back to myself, and actually, although this is me, and yes, I'm a mother, and yes, that didn't happen, but I've got to forgive myself because I did nothing wrong at this point. And it's trying to forgive yourself, because mothers, we blame ourselves all the time. It's like my youngest daughter was autistic, and we're still trying to go through the assessment to try and get her diagnosed officially at the moment, and all the time I'm thinking, is there something I did wrong? Was it something that happened in pregnancy? What have I done this differently? What if I hadn't taken that cough medicine? Did I do anything to cause this? And mothers were always doing this, even when our kids are growing up. I mean, my mum says it now. I mean, I might say my mum's got 9 kids, and I think 2 of them now live, but one of them still lives at home. And she's even now. She said, "Well, why?" Because three of my siblings are gay, and even my mum blames herself for that. She says, "Well, what did I do? What did I do to make them gay?" I said, "No, Mum, you can't think that way, because that has nothing to do with you. That's just the way they are." And with my youngest daughter now identifying as being a lesbian or pansexual, my mother was saying, "Well, I think all she needs is extra love, or she just needs someone to love." I said, "No, it's not that. She really identifies as being lesbian." Right. She literally looks at men going, "Ugh, I'm not interested in having a boyfriend."
Yeah.
And you've got to accept her. That's how she feels, and that's what she believes, and that's fine. And she said, "Well, how can you even kind of like relate to her when she's like that?" And thinking, because she's my daughter, and my daughter comes to me all the time. And it breaks my heart, because she says, "Are you okay with me being a lesbian? Are you okay with it?" And I'm thinking, God, like, yes, why would I not be? Yeah. He said, "Well, because I felt like you're upset because I won't have a boyfriend and I won't have kids." Yeah. And I said, "Well, if you want kids, you still have kids. That's not going to stop you. There are ways to do that." And I said, "Yeah, but I think you always thought that I was going to have a boyfriend." I said, I want you to be happy. I don't care whether you have a boyfriend, a girlfriend, or you have a best friend as a cat. I mean, you probably will actually have a cat because she loves cats. But I said, it doesn't bother me. I just want you to be happy, and I want you to be happy in your own skin, and I want you to know your own worth, because she has very, very low self-esteem and really low self-confidence, and it's trying to help her. This is what I try and do with my daughters, is I try and help them to be comfortable in their own skin. And I'm saying, I mean, even like from when I was pregnant with them, I was like telling them, you can be anything you want in this life. There's nothing in this world that you can't do. Absolutely nothing. You can be anything you want. And even when they're growing up, when I said, and they're saying, "Well, I want to do this. Is that okay?" So you don't ask my permission. It's just your life. You do what you want to do in your life. I'll be there to support you no matter what it is. And so when you have this acceptance in your own body, it's really important to teach that to your daughters, because they have enough problems with peer pressure at school going, "You're too skinny, you're too fat, you're ugly," even though I don't believe any child is ugly. And the kids at school can be so cruel, and you're thinking, like, well, where's that cruelness coming from? Yeah. And it is because their parents didn't know how to have that conversation with their children, going, "This is not how you behave. This is how, if you treat everyone with love and respect, you will receive love and respect, and then that person's going to feel much better for receiving that love and respect as well." And so trying to teach my daughters to be happy in their own skin and to not care. I mean, my eldest daughter came and go, "Oh, I've got such a fat tummy," and I'm thinking, "Oh, come on." It's like, no, you do not. You want a big tummy? This is a big tummy. I've got a big tummy, but I got a big tummy because I had big babies. Yeah. You're flat as a pancake, the way you go. It's not, you're not fat in the slightest. And I said, "Well, people keep saying I'm like quite big," and I think, "But you're not. You're actually really perfect weight for your size and your age. You're perfect. And even if you were a bit podgy, you'll still be perfect. But you've got to understand that who you are on the outside isn't who you are on the inside. Yeah. But you've got to be happy with yourself on the inside, and then accept the person on the outside, going, well, this is part of me. This is my body. Yes, everyone sees it, but it doesn't matter." And actually, there's one quote I absolutely love, and I think it's by Eleanor Roosevelt, and it's, "Other people's opinions of me are none of my business." Absolutely. And I love that quote. Yes. I love it. And I tell that to my daughters all the time. And I say, other people's opinions of you are none of your business. It's their opinion. It's not your opinion of yourself. It's how they see you. But that's not important. Yeah. It's not important how they see you. How you feel in your own body, and how you feel about yourself, and how grounded and present you feel in your own body, and okay, this is me, this is who I am, and stand proud and be you, and don't try and change yourself for other people, because that never works. That won't make you happy
It
at
will
all.
it will never make you happy. It will never make
No.
anybody happy to try to change yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah,
I've done
yeah.
that with past boyfriends.
Yeah.
There's one boyfriend I had, and my mum said, you really changed when you're with him. And it's because he was actually quite narcissist, I
Yep.
think is the best way of putting it. And I tried to fit into what he wanted, and then as a result I wasn't me at all. And only when I left him and then I met my husband that I realized, oh my god, I'm allowed to be me now.
Yeah.
I'm completely daft with my husband. I mean, I was never able to be like this. My other boyfriends, I wasn't allowed to be myself. I wasn't allowed to sing on top of my voice in the car. I wasn't allowed to do daft stuff. Like, we have tinsel fights at Christmas.
Yep.
I wasn't allowed to do that with boyfriends because that was like silly and childish.
Yep.
But my husband and I, our favourite task is this time of year is to go to the beach and build the biggest sandcastle on the beach with a big moat around it, and stand on top as the tide's coming in, and try and stay there as long as possible without getting washed off.
Fun.
And we're doing this in our 20s, 30s, and 40s, still doing it now. And the amount of times we get these kids looking, going, "What are they doing?"
Yeah.
They're adult. But then, sure enough, within 5 minutes, they're trying to compete with us.
Of course.
And it's brilliant. They just set off this like row of sandcastles, which go,
Fun.
we can do that too.
Yeah.
So it's like giving permission to play. It's brilliant.
Yeah. So Kate, I want to know, I mean, the podcast is Self-Love Ignited, right? So we really want like your relationship with yourself. I want to know, do you identify with the term self-love, or this journey that you've gone on, really embracing motherhood and embracing your tiger stripes and learning to feel really comfortable being yourself? Is that self-love, or is that self-acceptance? Like, is there a term that feels most true for you?
I think self-acceptance is a huge part of it, but it's learning to feel happy with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just accepting yourself, it's actually going, actually, I'm happy. And if that can be called self-love. I mean, yeah, there are still many parts of my body I don't love, but I'm learning to. And I think there's always going to be a part of me that's going to think, oh, if I can only lose weight, I'll feel happier. But then I correct myself and you will know, because I had to remember what I was like when I was thin and I wasn't happy.
Right.
And I think that's the biggest wake-up call for me when I was trying to accept my weight. And yeah, so I think accepting who you are right now and then learning to love that. But more than anything, just being happy within and actually thinking, no, actually it doesn't matter what I look like right now, because I'm actually feeling the most confident in my life that I've ever felt. Yeah. And yeah, there's still loads of things to navigate with parenting that are always going to be there, which challenge you every single day, especially as a mother, really challenges you. Am I doing the right thing, etc. But if I know that I'm happy within myself and that I know that there's lots of things I can improve, I can work on, but at the end of the day, thinking, no, actually, this is probably the happiest I've ever been, because I've accepted this is me. Yeah. And I'm finally feeling connected to my body, and like the whole of my body is me, and just not just the me inside, ignoring what I look like on the outside. So I think self-acceptance is probably the biggest part, which helps you to then be happy in your own skin. Yeah. And that leads to self-love. But I think the self-love part, I think, takes a lot longer to actually grasp. But if you just work on being happy within yourself and not looking yourself in the mirror and going, ugh, and just like look at yourself going, okay, I've got a few wrinkles. Yeah, okay, I'm looking older. I've got grey hair, so I don't really want grey hair. So it makes me feel like I'm 30 years older than I am. But this is who I am at the moment. And actually, I'm healthy at the moment. And I know I'm doing the best I can for myself and my children. And I also have a business that I love. And I'm finally feeling like everything's starting to slot into place, even though my body isn't quite as what I want it to be at this age. But then that's part of the aging process as well. So it's like it's being settled and not settling. It's kind of not quite the same, but it's more just being present in your own body and accepting yourself. This is me now. Yeah. It might change again in 10 years. I might lose loads of weight and go back to being skinny, but still being happy.
Right.
which would be amazing also
Yeah.
to have that kind of like about turn, but then still feeling happy and confident as a skinny person, which I haven't felt that. So that could be a whole new ball game, which may or may not happen in 10, 15, 20 years or whatever.
Yeah.
But right this moment, I'm not feeling repulsed by my body. I'm actually, this is me. And actually I'm glad this is me, because I say this is the happiest I've been for a long time. So
Yeah.
I think
That's
self-acceptance comes first, and
that's
then
beautiful. Yep.
yeah,
Sorry.
then the
Yeah.
happiness. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love what you said there too, because like I say, you're mirroring a lot of what I say in little bits and pieces everywhere, right? It's like self-love is like the end goal, right? It's like the umbrella that all of this falls
Yeah,
underneath, but
exactly.
really it's like
Yeah,
step into acceptance and happiness and learn to appreciate all the amazing things
yeah,
about yourself and all the amazing things about your body, and
exactly.
grow and change and do all of that, but like
Yeah,
do it from this place of like love and kindness and compassion, instead of hatred and loathing and
yes,
and rejecting
exactly.
parts of yourselves, right?
Yeah,
Like it's this,
exactly.
it's really just in how you approach the whole thing, and it completely changes your life, that
Yeah,
decision. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, Kate, if there was, as we're getting ready to wrap up, I'm just conscious of the time. As we are getting ready to wrap up, is there one last piece of advice, one maybe a book that was helpful or a practice that you did? Is there one thing that you would maybe recommend to listeners who are stuck in that place where you used to be before you embraced your tiger stripes?
Well, lots of the energy healing that I did on myself and actually I trained in was a huge part of accepting myself, because it helped to peel back the layers to where it started, where the feelings of feeling inadequate or not feeling like a woman, or it really opened my eyes to where it started and where it stemmed from. And I felt and that's why I trained in it, because I thought I really wanted to help other people with it as well. And I think that was the turning point, because I looked at my life and thinking, oh, actually, that wasn't actually my fault that happened. That happened because of the way I was conditioned as a child, or the experiences that I had as a teenager. And actually, when I look at it, yeah, okay, there were nice things about this relationship, but really at the very bottom line, it wasn't a very healthy relationship, because it made me feel this way. And so by peeling back those layers and really getting down to the root cause of my feelings, and where it came from, that really helped me start healing and really looking at myself and my life and thinking, actually, that wasn't my fault. I can change this, and I can change this so I start feeling this way. And by feeling this way, then all this amazing stuff starts happening. And I think because when I did this healing work on myself, it really, I think that at that point, because I was having a lot of trouble getting pregnant with my first daughter, I had 2 miscarriages before I had her. And it's because I was still stuck in that kind of, oh, I wasn't very happy. I tried to start my own business at that point. It hadn't gone very well. I wasn't happy where I lived, even though I was married, I was happy in that sense. And when I actually started doing that work on myself before I got pregnant, by clearing those layers, then I started feeling more accepting of myself. And then I moved back home, down to Cornwall. I was living in Reading at that time, near London. And I moved back to Cornwall. And when I moved back to Cornwall, I realised I was coming home. But by coming home, I was coming home as an adult, because I pretty much left as a child, as a teenager. And I was coming back as an adult. And then I was a different person coming back. Therefore, because I was happy in my own skin when I came back, I got pregnant, and I actually stayed pregnant, and my first daughter was born. And I think if I hadn't done all that healing work on myself beforehand, I may have still had all that self-loathing for myself. Yeah. And like, my body was changing so much, yeah. With the illness, for putting the weight on, and I was really trying to get used. I couldn't get used to that. I find it very difficult to get used to the weight going on suddenly. But it helped me to understand why the weight went on, what the root cause was behind it with the illness and everything. And once I understood that and started peeling those layers away, then I actually found that space where I started being happy in myself. And then that opened the doors to like a baby going, oh, mummy's ready now, let's go.
Yeah.
And I really felt that was like the turning point for me. So I think, yeah, I think energy healing And I was trained in theta healing,
Mhm.
but I've also got to other. I do angel therapy and I do mandala art sessions as well.
Beautiful.
Is where we do a kind of like, we focus on something you want to focus on, and I draw this mandala to represent that, and then you get to keep the original painting, and then you get to put it on your wall, and you can look at it and go, this is what this mandala represents. These are the, and I do like a whole, it's like an intuitive healing session. It's kind of like a coaching session, but I also call upon the angels and spirit guides present around you as well for their input and what's coming through for you and what needs to be let go of in order to get to this point. And having all of those different healing modalities, the different spiritual healing, it really just helped me to accept myself. I am this being of light. I am a spiritual being having a human experience. And that's the biggest part, is like, okay, this body is just the human part of me, but the real me is the spiritual part inside me. And the spiritual part of me has got so many different facets, so many different ways to go, so many different things to explore and to learn about. And that's why I'm qualified in so many different healing modalities, because I just love everything about healing, all different, from herbal medicine to aromatherapy to homeopathy to astrology, everything. I just like a big sponge.
I really want to thank you for coming on and sharing your story of stepping into self-acceptance and happiness and learning to feel really good within your body and embracing motherhood. And I really appreciate you, and I appreciate your time and your willingness to be open with us. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute joy. Thank you so much.
All of the links mentioned during the episode are down in the show notes. Please make sure to go on over and check them out. Also, please remember to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, and I would be forever grateful if you would go on over and leave us a review on iTunes as well. That's going to help this message reach more women. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Here is to you loving yourself.